Central to the myth of Trump's supposed populism is his claim that he doesn't need anyone's money, and it's actually his opponents who are controlled by their donors.
I've watched the politicians. I've dealt with them all my life. They're controlled by the lobbyists, by the donors, and by the special interests, fully. I'm one of the few politicians that I don't want your money, I don't want anything, I just want that vote. You got to get out of the vote. I don't want your money.
The heart of Trump's self-styled people's champion image hinges on one key claim. He's supposedly free from outside influence because he doesn't take money from anyone. Meanwhile, he paints his rivals as puppets dancing to their donors' tunes. "I've been around politicians my whole life," he often boasts. "They're all in someone's pocket. Donors, special interests, lobbyists. But me? I'm different. All I want is your vote, not your cash. Just show up and vote." But here's where things get interesting. Seth Meyers took this narrative apart on his show, delivering some seriously sharp commentary. And while the studio audience was cracking up, there's actually a deeper story here. Trump's alliance with Elon Musk is causing serious ripples in DC. We're talking about potential government paralysis and financial instability. The content then shifts to a typical social media engagement request, asking viewers to hit like and subscribe, noting that 98% watch without subscribing.
I don't need anybody's money. It's nice. I don't need anybody's money. I'm using my own money. I'm not using the lobbyists. I'm not using donors. I don't care.
Seriously, everybody was offering you money? Who's everybody? All the rich guys: Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Burns, Gecko, Clampett, and of course my good friend Smog. I can imagine him performing oral sex on a microphone, since that's a real thing he did. Still hard to believe that's an American president and not an 8th grader trying to get kicked off the debate team.
Picture the scene. Meyers at his desk, that trademark smirk on his face, about to unleash his wit. The crowd knows something good is coming. He starts with a joke comparing Trump's hair to a storm-ravaged cornfield, but that's just the beginning. Trump keeps insisting, "I don't need anyone's money. I'm using my own cash. No strings attached. No lobbyists. No donors. I couldn't care less." Meyers shoots back, "Really? Everyone was offering? Who's everyone? The Billionaire Boys Club? Musk? Zuckerberg? Bezos?"
Yeah.
I spend pretty much 90% of my waking hours tweeting hatred towards this administration.
Yeah, well, now I want to ask.
He goes on with some colorful references to wealthy fictional characters, drawing huge laughs from the audience. The host then delivers his knockout punch, suggesting that Trump's behavior is more fitting for a teenage troublemaker than a president. The audience loses it, but Meyers isn't done. He wraps up with a zinger comparing Trump's presidency to a dumpster fire.
The point is, Trump insisted he'd never be controlled by donors or big tech. In fact, you might recall that during the first campaign in 2016, he told everyone there was really only one advisor he would listen to. You were the one, not Joe Biden, who had a billionaire tech mogul jumping around with you on stage like a golden retriever who snuck into a bounce house.
I'm speaking with myself, number one, because I have a very good brain and I've said a lot of things.
I mean, genuinely, I would love if Trump actually had to suffer through the frustration of speaking to himself.
Though he quickly apologizes to the dumpster fires. He's at least useful, Meyers quipped, but he was just getting started. He poked fun at Trump's social media style, saying he writes like someone desperately trying to wake their phone from sleep mode. All caps, exclamation points everywhere. Meyers mimicked, throwing in a mock, sad witch hunt for good measure. The zingers kept flowing. When Meyers brought up Trump's famous Fifth Avenue boast, he added his own spin. At this point, I bet he could shoot himself and somehow pin it on Hillary Clinton. Remember Trump's 2016 campaign? He kept insisting he wasn't taking orders from anyone. His most trusted advisor? "I'm talking to myself, number one. I've got a great brain, and I say lots of things." Meyers couldn't resist. Honestly, I'd pay to watch Trump deal with the headache of actually having to listen to himself.
Never liked him.
Oh, really?
If you're 55 and you grew up on Long Island, you know that he's a fake, a phony, and a fraud.
Right.
There was no mystery to me.
Right.
So I didn't...
The audience was in stitches, and social media lit up like a Christmas tree. Hashtag Meyers roasts. Trump started trending, with everyone praising his bold takedown, well, almost everyone. Enter Trump himself, who clearly wasn't amused. His response? A classic Trump tweet storm. He dubbed Meyers unfunny and overrated, and in what he probably thought was a killer insult, called him a budget John Oliver. He demanded an apology. Spoiler, he's still waiting.
There you go. Donald Trump has been very clear for almost a decade now. He won't be controlled by large donors, and he'll listen first and foremost to himself, and he certainly won't be captive to big tech like Sleepy Joe Biden was.
Musk's influence right now with Donald Trump is pretty unmatched. He has spent so much time at Mar-a-Lago. He has been talking to Donald Trump daily about these different transition appointments.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk have been virtually inseparable since the presidential election. Musk has reportedly been intimately involved in Trump's decision-making on his cabinet picks.
You can't get, oh my God, you let him do you a favor and now you can't get rid of him. You got cable guyed by Elon Musk. Every time you look out that little keyhole, he's gonna be there.
But here's where it gets interesting. This Twitter tantrum was just the appetizer. What followed was pure chaos in Washington, with an unexpected player entering the game. A certain tech billionaire known for his electric cars and space dreams. Let's talk about Trump's supposed independence from big donors and tech giants. While he claims he only listens to himself and won't be swayed by Silicon Valley like Sleepy Joe, there's an interesting twist. Musk has practically become a fixture at Mar-a-Lago, chatting with Trump daily about potential appointments. These two have been practically joined at the hip since the election. The irony of claiming independence from big tech while cozying up to one of tech's biggest players? Well, that's something Meyers would probably have a field day with. Talk about a house guest who won't leave.
Watching this moron speak, can he form a coherent sentence? He is the worst thing that ever happened. Period. And he's just babbling like an incoherent asshole. He's like Dr. Doom. He's the worst thing. Oh, you know what? He just lies, lies, lies. I am done with Donald Trump. Let's be done with Donald, okay? Done with Donald.
Looks like Trump's got himself in a classic cable guy situation with Musk. Every time you peek through that peephole, there he is. As they say, politics creates some weird partnerships, but this one's giving odd couple vibes that would make Oscar and Felix look normal. When Trump went on his social media rampage, it caught a certain space enthusiast's attention. Next thing you know, DC's got this bizarre new power duo.
Then I said, you know, some facts that I just went on Wiki that were easily accessible since this campaign began, that he is bankrupt 4 times, that he got all his money from his father, and that he notoriously cheats private contractors out of their money.
Yes, and that is all
Simple
pretty well
facts,
documented. Yeah.
Simple facts.
And so you said this on The View.
And he went bat crazy.
Yeah.
But they're not fighting bad guys, unless you count government spending bills as villains. Get this, Musk, the guy dreaming about putting people on Mars, suddenly decided Earth's budget needed his special touch. While Congress was scrambling to keep the lights on with a crucial spending package, Musk decided to play political commentator.
Whether or not she was going to retain her crown. Yeah. And then she started to cry.
She did.
So I just want to thank Donald is giving me a second chance.
It was brilliant.
And there he is, hair looping, going, everyone deserves a second chance. And I'm going to give her a second chance.
Her hair is perfect for that. Your hair is perfect for that.
Listen, he annoys me on a multitude of levels. He's the moral authority. Left the first wife, had an affair. Left the second wife, had an affair. Had kids both times, but he's the moral compass for 20-year-olds in America. Donald, fit and spin, my friend. I don't enjoy him. No.
He jumped on X, that's what he renamed Twitter for those who haven't kept up, and started blasting the bill, called it stuffed with pork. And no, he wasn't reviewing restaurants. He even threw down the gauntlet, basically telling Republicans they could kiss their 2026 campaigns goodbye if they backed it. And he just kept going, turning his social media platform into a personal soapbox against the bill.
Say that if Trump gets indicted, it would be really great if Mueller let you serve the papers.
Well,
I feel like
I have put in that request by tweet.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting.
Musk has apparently gotten so cozy in Trump's inner circle, he's now playing backseat driver with cabinet picks. It's like having that friend who helps you move and then never leaves. Enter Trump himself, who clearly wasn't amused. His response? A classic Trump tweet storm. He dubbed Meyers unfunny and overrated, and in what he probably thought was a killer insult, called him a budget John Oliver.
Well, Rosie is a loser. Rosie's been a loser for a long time. Her magazine failed. She got sued. She folded up like a tent. It was too bad. Everything about Rosie, and I watch her, and somebody sent me a clip of what she said. Rosie is somebody out of control who really just doesn't have it. and she ought to be careful because I'll send one of my friends to pick up her girlfriend, and I think it would be...
He demanded an apology. Spoiler, he's still waiting. But here's where it gets interesting. This Twitter tantrum was just the appetizer. What followed was pure chaos in Washington, with an unexpected player entering the game. A certain tech billionaire known for his electric cars and space dreams. Let's talk about Trump's supposed independence from big donors and tech giants. While he claims he only listens to himself and won't be swayed by Silicon Valley like Sleepy Joe, there's an interesting twist. Musk has practically become a fixture at Mar-a-Lago, chatting with Trump daily about potential appointments.
He'll do anything and everything to get what he wants, and women are of no value to him in his life or world. The only one who is, I think, is his daughter. That's it. The rest of the women in the world are useless as the immigrants that he says are coming from, Honduras to take us in caravans. Watch out for the caravan. There are people walking away from certain death in third world countries, right? The man doesn't care at all. So what he did to Stormy Daniels was horrific. What he did to me was horrific. But I expected when that was happening, the National Organization of Women or something would come out and say, you can't do this. You're not just allowed to pick a woman, lie, and just debase her with impunity. But he is.
These two have been practically joined at the hip since the election. The irony of claiming independence from big tech while cozying up to one of tech's biggest players? Well, that's something Meyers would probably have a field day with. Talk about a house guest who won't leave. Looks like Trump's got himself in a classic cable guy situation with Musk. Every time you peek through that peephole, there he is. As they say, politics creates some weird partnerships, but this one's giving odd couple vibes that would make Oscar and Felix look normal.
In my house, and look, there's no safety in the world. And all of that came right up when he, first of all, when he announced, I was like laughing my ass off.
Same here.
He was on that little escalator down with the fake crowd going, look, here's my wife who loves me. And she's like, how do I get out of here? Right? And I just thought it would never happen.
Same here. So I've been wrong at every turn.
I said to my therapist, I got this new show, Smilf, but I have to go to Boston to start shooting the day after the election. Do you think it's going to be okay for me to be there? Or what if he wins? She's like, Rosie, you really have to start working on your negative loop in your brain. He is not going to win. Every smart person knows he is not going to win. That night, I was like, listen, you wench. I am here and I have no Xanax!
When Trump went on his social media rampage, it caught a certain space enthusiast's attention. Next thing you know, DC's got this bizarre new power duo, but they're not fighting bad guys, unless you count government spending bills as villains. Get this, Musk, the guy dreaming about putting people on Mars, suddenly decided Earth's budget needed his special touch. While Congress was scrambling to keep the lights on with a crucial spending package, Musk decided to play political commentator.
He is a cruel, criminal, and mentally unstable man. And Duty to Warn was a book that came out when he was first in office. Psychiatrists across the country who don't ever really diagnose people that they don't serve personally came together and made a book, Duty to Warn, to tell the world what a narcissistic, mentally ill person he is. And I think he's the worst thing that ever happened to the United States, and his cruelty knows no bounds. And when he is upset and humiliated and embarrassed, he has no control and he goes apeshit. Can I say that? And, he is the kind of person that is a grifter, and he is an evangelical preacher to people who believed that Celebrity Apprentice was true. And Celebrity Apprentice was not true. And Mark Burnett has tapes of him calling...
He jumped on X, that's what he renamed Twitter for those who haven't kept up, and started blasting the bill, called it stuffed with pork. And no, he wasn't reviewing restaurants. He even threw down the gauntlet, basically telling Republicans they could kiss their 2026 campaigns goodbye if they backed it. And he just kept going, turning his social media platform into a personal soapbox against the bill. Musk has apparently gotten so cozy in Trump's inner circle, he's now playing backseat driver with cabinet picks. It's like having that friend who helps you move and then never leaves.
One of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
Picture this wild scene. We've got a billionaire throwing a digital fit, but unlike your average online rant, this one's coming from someone who could literally build a spaceship. And who hops on this bandwagon? Our friend MTG herself, giving it her signature flair. She's not just agreeing, she's going all in, even hinting at leadership shakeups if things don't go her way.
Trump said, "Don't worry, how long do you think I'll be on the market for? Not long." Cohen says Trump wasn't thinking about Melania. This was all about the campaign. It's unbelievable what this guy gets away with. He says the worst about his own family and faces no consequences. The worst thing I've ever said to a friend about my wife is she doesn't watch the show. And I'd be terrified if she found out until I remembered she never would. Because
Meanwhile, Wall Street's having its own meltdown. The Dow's taking a beating, 10 days straight of red numbers. Guess the market isn't a fan of high-stakes political drama.
It's the tiny voice in your head again, and are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because it really seems like your wife doesn't love you. You know why I think that? Because people who are in love do not scowl for all 24 hours of the day. These people taking pictures are gonna crack their iPhone screens with how angry she looks all the time. Hey, what was the last real conversation you two had anyway? Because the last thing I remember is election night when she turned to you and said, "Are you happy now?"
Here's the kicker. Musk is apparently channeling his inner Santa, keeping track of who's been naughty or nice in Congress.
President Trump and First Lady Melania traveled to Cincinnati today, and boy, were they surprised to see each other in the airport.
Green spilled the beans about this little project because apparently what our democracy really needed was a tech billionaire's personal rating system, right? And Musk isn't just talking big, he's backing it up with serious cash.
Interview, former First Lady Melania Trump said that she was in New York during former President Trump's second assassination attempt, but as soon as she heard, she rushed right into the kitchen to get a snack. In the same interview, Melania Trump also said that former President Trump would have liked to have had more kids after having their son Barron. Well, don't feel bad. There's a very good chance he did.
We're talking $119 million to a pro-Trump PAC. That's a lot of electric cars that won't be hitting the streets. Some Republicans are starting to get nervous, and honestly, who can blame them? A government shutdown isn't exactly great for anyone's resume. But hey, at least we've got this dynamic duo at the wheel, steering us somewhere. So here we are.
Who run for president as a Republican, which is surprising since I just assumed he was running as a joke.
What started with Seth Meyers cracking wise about Trump's hair has somehow snowballed into potential government chaos. It's like watching a reality show, except the stakes are actually real. We've got two billionaires playing political chess, the market doing the limbo, how low can it go, and democracy itself hanging out on the edge of its seat. This isn't your typical political drama. It's more like a buddy comedy gone wrong, starring two guys who have enough money to actually build escape pods to Mars if things go south. Let's just hope this show has a better ending than Game of Thrones.